Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on Facebook and Instagram marketing. I'm Bud Freund, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'm going to be your host. Our presenter today is Greg Ruiz, and more on Greg in just a minute. First, some brief information on SCORE. We have 320 offices nationwide and about 11,000 volunteers. We're part of the Small Business Administration. In Fairfield County, we have over 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary added value services to small business owners. First, one-on-one counseling, face-to-face, well, maybe not in the near future, but hopefully again soon, telephone, email, and video counseling, which can be accessed via Request a Mentor link, which is on our website, or from the link you see here on the screen. We do educational workshops and webinars, and about 150 of them through the course of the year. And we have extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject experts at your disposal. Please check our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, for upcoming webinars because the schedule is changing almost daily as we transition from live workshops to remote learning. Here's some other useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, and if you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. You'll find it on your screen or as a pull down from the Zoom controls. Our webinar is going to end around 7:30. If we have questions, we can probably continue a little longer. And our session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next couple of days. Now about our speaker. Greg is the founder of Plan to Profit Marketing, a direct response marketing agency that serves the small business community by providing strategy, consulting, campaign execution, and results reporting. Oh, where was I? Greg has also contributed to leading marketing publications such as YouGov, Time and Affluent Media Group. A career marketer since 2004, Greg has worked at Fairfield County's largest direct response marketing firms as copywriter, project manager, and marketing director. I'll now turn it over to Greg. It's all yours. And we're going to unmute you. And
okay. All right, so thank you, Bud, and thank you to SCORE for allowing me to host this event. Today I'm going to be talking about Facebook and Instagram marketing, how to increase your reach, results, and revenue. So now we'll move on to the agenda slide. So what are we talking about today? One is how to maximize brand exposure on Facebook with free and low-cost tactics, and some of them work on Instagram as well. We're also going to talk about how to run cost-effective ad campaigns that attract new customers from Facebook and Instagram, how to use Facebook to increase customer loyalty and get more repeat business, how to reach the people most likely to buy from you on these ad platforms, Facebook and Instagram, how to avoid mistakes that cause most advertisers to waste their ad budgets, and choosing the right Facebook ads format for your specific business. And a lot of this, when I talk about Facebook, it is interchangeable with Instagram because Facebook owns Instagram. And when you run an ad campaign on Facebook, for most ad formats, you'll also be advertising on Instagram as well. All right, so let's move to the next slide. So first, before I get into the tactics, I want to give a brief overview of why this is important. Obviously, you know it's important or you wouldn't be on this webinar. But social media adopting, this is nothing new. It's not news. But the latest poll is that 79% of Americans use social media. That's up from 0% in about 2004. So that's when social media was really in its infancy. And now it's up to 79%. So move on. The portion of Americans using social media by income. And, so if you, doesn't matter what demographic your customers are in, they are using social media. This graph right here breaks it down by income with the set of bars at the top. The blue bar is Facebook, the pink bar is Instagram, and the middle one is LinkedIn. So you can see people who make $75,000 a year or more. That is actually the group that uses social media the most, in particular Facebook. So, and then when you go all the way down to people making less than $30,000 a year, that's the group with the lowest social media usage. But you can still see that Facebook usage is close to 75% in this group. So it doesn't matter who you're targeting, they are on Facebook and Instagram, or a good portion of them anyway. Let's move on. So the portion of Americans using social media by age, it's not surprising that the youngest demographic uses it the most frequently, but they are certainly not alone. The bottom group are, if you start from top to bottom, actually, even the 65 plus crowd. So if you have an elderly clientele or elderly customer base, about half are using Facebook. So they haven't gone into the other platforms that much, but about half are on Facebook. You go to 50 to 64, well over a plurality are using Facebook, way over 50%. And then the younger you go, they still have the highest usage, and that's where Instagram really starts to take off, especially in that middle group, aged 30 to 49. And you can see Instagram is the bar right below Facebook, and it's just over probably around 30% of people in the 30 to 49 age group use Instagram. Between ages of 18 and 29, more than 50%. All right, so let's go to the next slide. And then, so yes, they are on social media. You already knew that, but it's not just about whether or not they have the app on their phone or whether they have an account. It's how much time they spend on it. That's what's important to business owners as well. So, if you look at this is by time. If you just go to the right, this is from the first quarter of 2019. The first blue bar in that group over there, on the set all the way to the right, average minutes spent by users, almost 50 minutes per day on Facebook. So people are on there for almost an hour a day. If you look at Instagram, the Instagram users are on for more than 30 minutes a day. So this is it's a substantial portion of people's time are being spent on these platforms. So they're all there, almost all there, and they're spending quite a bit of time on it. Let's go to next. So not only are they spending time on it, but it is influencing their purchase decisions on Facebook. As many as 51% of users say they've clicked on an ad, and nearly half of social media users have bought something after seeing an ad, and that number increases to above 50% for millennials and women respectively. Let's go next. All right, so this presentation, the rest of the presentation is going to be kind of divided into two halves. The first portion, I'm going to be talking about how to maximize brand exposure on Facebook and Instagram with free and low-cost tactics. And then after I go through the free and low-cost tactics, we'll get into Facebook and Instagram advertising. So the free and low-cost tactics are Facebook events, Facebook check-ins, and Instagram options for similar campaigns. So one thing to think about as we go through this in the two sections. One is the free and low cost tactics, and the other is the advertisements. There is one thing that Facebook, and which is also the parent company of Instagram, there are two things they really want. They want consumers, they want their users to spend as much time on the platform as possible. So that means they have to maximize the enjoyment of using Facebook and Instagram for the people who are logging in to use it. So they want time from them. And what they want from businesses is they want businesses to spend money on ads. So if you can align what you're doing on Facebook with Facebook's goal of keeping people engaged and on the platform, then you're going to have more success with the free and low cost tactics. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So the first thing is Facebook events, and it is completely free if you have a business Facebook page to set up a Facebook event. It's one of the hottest things you can do right now to drive more interest in customers into a business. So let's move on. So it's human for people to want to be social, and with the growing popularity of social media, live events are growing each and every day. So going back to what I said earlier about how Facebook wants to maximize the amount of time that people spend on its platform, Facebook is trying to integrate itself into everyday life. They don't want people to just log in, take a look, and then log off. There's a Facebook app, and they want people to regularly check in, use it to communicate with people, let people know what they're doing in the moment, so they can connect with their friends and family, doing the things that they enjoy and the things that they're proud of. So let's keep going. So nearly half of millennials, 48%, say they attend events so they have something to share on social channels. And that is even more powerful for parents. So 61% of parents admit that they've attended events to gain social media material. So to post fun things on Facebook and show their friends and family what they're up to. And this is what you want to align yourself with that trend among consumers, and you can use it to drive exposure and business to your company. Next slide. 9 out of 10 millennials have attended at least one live event in the past 12 months, and that's up from 3 years ago. So even as we're, the trend is that we're spending more time on devices, people are also engaging with the world more as they're using their devices. So their device is part of their real in-person experience. And as millennials move into parenthood, about half of millennials are parents now, and they're in their prime spending years. That millennial audience is even more, more reachable through the concept of running live events and making that part of your marketing strategy. So let's go to the next slide. I just spoke about this, so we can move to the next one. So now we'll get into a few case studies of how Facebook events have been used to drive more business. So let's go to the next. So recently, Facebook, not so recently, but Facebook is constantly updating its algorithm, and it's gone through several shifts. When in the early days of Facebook, when you could have a Facebook business page, if you had 2,000 followers and you posted your daily specials, all 2,000 of those followers would see your post. And what happened was a lot of businesses realized, hey, this is amazing. This is free advertising. And what they started to do, what a lot of marketers started to do, was overpost and overshare. And that hurt the user experience. So Facebook decided, we can't just show every business post to every fan of a business. It's hurting the user experience. We've got to only show those posts that we think are likely to engage the audience and that likely to add value to these people, so that they don't turn off, so they don't sign out, so that we don't go away kind of the same way that MySpace went away. So with that algorithm change, there's been a huge emphasis on what friends and family share. So Facebook is a place where people connect. they don't want it to be seen as a place where businesses advertise to you, although that is where Facebook's revenue comes from. It's kind of like, CBS wants you to enjoy the shows so that they can show you ads. If they showed you too many ads, then you would just change the channel and you wouldn't see any ads. So let's go to the next. So what we have here, this is an example of when someone creates a Facebook event. On the left-hand side of the screen, it's kind of small, but if you have a Facebook business page, if you just look on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a section for events, and you can just click on the word events, and Facebook makes it real easy for you to set up your own event. So what we have here is, Lorette has a summer camp for horseback riding, and she created an event for that summer camp. Because Lorette and Alicia are friends, when Lorette posted an event and said that she was interested in going, it showed up in Alicia's newsfeed. So it's essentially free advertising, and it's the best kind of advertising because Lorette and Alicia are friends with each other. And so when Lorette says that she's interested in attending an event and Alicia sees it, that has credibility in her eyes. So let's go to the next slide. So let's say the average person has 200 friends. And remember, this is really all about Facebook's algorithm. And they want person-to-person communication more than they want brand-to-people communication. So if Alicia and Lorette are friends, Facebook wants Lorette to see what Alicia is up to, because that's what makes Facebook a great platform. So let's say the average person has 200 friends. Move to the next slide. And for this summer camp, 3 people saw this event. They marked it as going. They said they're going. 22 people said they were interested. Now, if those 25 people each have 200 friends, then 5,000 people end up seeing the event because Facebook wants people to know what other people are up to. So it's 25 times 200. Again, it's if you didn't pay for it, it's free advertising. And you can really get those numbers up if you just spend a little bit of money on advertising to boost it and get more exposure. So, one Facebook event seen by 5,000 people, potentially with 0 ad spend. Let's move on. So what events can you create in your business? So, some people might say they don't have a business that is, really, event friendly. I'll just make an event. It doesn't have to be, a party, doesn't have to be a rock and roll concert. It could be anything that's going on at your business. So in this particular business was a repair shop that repairs phones, game consoles, iPads, and computers. So they created what's called Fix It Friday. So they have a regular recurring event, Fix It Friday, where people save $10 on a repair. Let's go next. So these are the results with 27 responses. Those 27 people that responded, they're either going or they are interested in going, and their response gets posted on their personal newsfeed. So when it's a typical Facebook user, when they post something in newsfeed, it'll be seen by about 200 of their friends and family, and they are now acting as kind of an underground marketing team on behalf of the business. So you have 27 responses to Fix It Friday times 200 friends, 5,400 people saw the event promotion. So that's huge. To have over 5,000 people find out about just an ordinary 10% off special at a local business is great. It's getting spread on its own as a viral event, and that's the power of Facebook event marketing. Let's go next. Now, why is this especially potent? It's especially potent because 92% of people say they trust friends and family more than they trust advertising. And 81% of consumers are influenced by friends' social media posts. So if your friend trusts a computer repair shop, why would you look for another computer repair shop down the road if you already have that kind of a built-in trust. Let's move on. Another example, Taco Tuesday. Again, this is not a party. It's not a special event, but a restaurant holds Taco Tuesday every Tuesday, and that's fine. It's a recurring event. And so when it pops up into people's news feeds, they don't necessarily know that it happens every week. But even if they find out, that's fine. They'll be reminded of it. Move on. Next. Okay. So this particular promotion for Taco Tuesday started on Monday and ended on Tuesday. It's about for 24 hours. During this time, 1,000 people saw the promotion. 181 people viewed the event page to learn more. And the analytics within Facebook showed that 48 people responded to the event, meaning so they either clicked that they were attending or they were interested in attending. And so that 48 people times 200 people who saw that they were interested in the event, now you're looking at exposure of 9,600 people. And that's all for a promotion that was about 24 hours. And to get 1,000 people to see a promotion is probably about $10. So $10 to get seen by 9,600 people. And it's all, it's not an ad in the newspaper. It's an ad from your friend, basically. Let's move on to the next one. And as an added bonus, once you post an event on Facebook, it also shows up on the Facebook local app for even more reach and exposure. So that Facebook Local is a relatively new app that Facebook put out there, and it's specifically designed for people to find local events and things that are happening near them. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the next free or low-cost strategy to get more exposure for your business using Facebook and Instagram. For Facebook, it's the check-in. For Instagram, it's more of a hashtag strategy. And check-in is very powerful. So basically, if someone has the Facebook app on their phone, Facebook kind of tracks you and knows where you go. So Google does this as well. So you'll get asked by the app, have you been to this place? Would you like to review it? But you can also be proactive about it. So what I mean by a check-in is someone is in your sushi restaurant, they take a picture of their food and they want to post it, and Facebook gives them the option to tell everyone where they were. And that would lead people either to a map to your business or to your Facebook page. Let's go to the next slide. So the check-in is powerful, one, because it's a personal referral. So if you can get people to check into your business, their friends are going to see that they are a patron of the business. The check-in links to your Facebook page. You can add a personal message to any check-in. If the person takes an image, they can take a picture of your product or your service. If not, it would be a map to your business. And it's also connected to Facebook reviews. So if people are checking in, they also have the ability to leave a review for your business. And what's even better is their friends can like and comment on the photo. So if you have a business and you have, whether I keep going back to food because I'm a foodie guy, but it doesn't have to be food. If you have something cool looking at your business or something that's worthy of sharing, that's not just going to get people to show it to their friends, but also get their friends to engage with it and start a conversation about it. Let's go to the next slide. So this is how you encourage people to check in. There's a few different ways to do it. If people pay at a cashier at your local business, you could put a sign up next to the cashier. In this case, it's at a bakery, and it says, check into this business and save 15% on today's purchase. So if that sounds high to you, you could always come up with something else, something that is low cost to you, but has a high perceived value to the customer. Maybe a free cup of coffee, free soda, something else you could give away. Or the other option is if you really want, if you're really serious about Facebook marketing and you want maximum exposure for your business and you want to do something like this, you want to get people to check in and tell their friends and family about it, You could also mark up your prices by about 10% and have people check in for the 10% discount. If you have that leeway, that is an option as well. There's nothing wrong with it. You can do whatever you want with your pricing strategy, and people will check in for the discount. Let's move on to the next one. So what happens there is, one person visits your business, they check in. Of their 200 friends, maybe 2 or 3 of them come in. But as 2 or 3 people come in, they each tell their 200 friends, and that has a multiplier effect. So 1 customer becomes 3, 3 becomes 9, 9 becomes 27, and so on and so forth. Let's go to the next one. So running a check-in program, so you print a sign near the cashier. If people sit at tables, you could print tabletops, wherever the purchase decision is made. You want to pick your offer or your hook. Again, it's got to be something that you can afford, but something that does have value to the customer as well. So it does have to be juicy enough to entice people to get out their phone and take a picture, something that's fun. And then on top of the regular offer, you can run a monthly check-in contest. So let's say it's a free cup of coffee is your hook to get people to check in on Facebook when they come to your cupcake shop. You can run a monthly check-in contest on top of that. So just once a month, you pick the best check-in, or you pick a check-in at random of all the people who checked in, and maybe you give away a free dozen cupcakes, and you celebrate it. When someone comes in to get their free cupcakes, take a picture with them. And, they're very happy to get it, and you build excitement and engagement around that. And then also when people check in, that goes on their news feed. But at the end of the day, when you're taking a look at what's going on your Facebook page, share all those check-ins. So people post on their news feed, go to their news feed, and then reshare what they shared with their friends on your Facebook page, so that all of your other fans can see what type of engagement is going on around your business. Let's go next. So Instagram. Instagram doesn't have a check-in in the same way that Facebook does, but you can still run the same type of contest. You can still encourage people to share your business on Instagram, but instead of a check-in, you just make it a hashtag. So, for example, it might be hashtag Yummy Fairfield, something that only you're using. And that way it becomes really easy for you to search for people who are leaving that hashtag, like the comment, follow them, see if they want to follow you back, and start building an Instagram following that way. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so that was the portion of the presentation where I gave some advice on how to maximize the free and kind of low-cost presence that you can have on Facebook and Instagram. That's the first thing that Facebook wants, is they want engagement on their platform. They want people to enjoy using it so that they stay on it. And the reason they want people to stay on it is because, frankly, they want to show them ads. And they want you as a business owner to run ads on their platform. So in this section, I'm going to talk about choosing the right Facebook ads format for the business, how to reach people most likely to buy from you, increasing customer loyalty, and avoiding waste with your ad budget. Let's move next. One piece of feedback I've gotten from SCORE in the past is that some people have never run a Facebook ad campaign. So it helps to go through it kind of step by step. So what I do is I include some screenshots and kind of circle where the buttons are to click on it. And hopefully that's helpful to you as I go through this. But I'm also going to talk about strategy as I go along, share some things that have worked for me and some things to think about as you're creating ads that are going to bring in more business to you. Let's go to the next. So first thing you're doing is, let's say this is your Facebook page. In the left-hand side, there's almost always going to be a button that says promote. I circled it in pink ink. So you're just going to click that, and you're going to start the process of an ad campaign. Next. Or if you're using Facebook Business Manager, along the left-hand side, under Accounts, you're going to see Add Accounts, and you would select that. And then once you're in the Add Account, on the top right, there's this light colored arrow. It's subtle, but you click on that to go to an Add Account. And then down below, once you're on the next page, in the top left, you're going to see a green Create button. So you're going to click that to get started on creating your ad. Let's go next. Now, the first thing you're going to do when you've initiated to Facebook that you're going to create an ad campaign is you're going to select the goal. So let's go to the next slide. And Facebook is going to pop up the options. So you don't necessarily have to remember every option, because Facebook is going to give you some options, right at the start. Next slide. So here are some of the options, and Facebook does change its advertising platform from time to time to kind of tweak the options. But at the time I built this presentation, these were the options at the time. So one is get a custom advertising plan. That is when they're going to ask you to have a phone call with one of their ad reps. You can boost a post. That is an option. So if you're posting on Facebook and you realize that, hey, look, only 20 to 50 people are seeing this post. Is it even worth it for me to go through all of this effort if only 20 or 50 people are going to see it? You can boost a post for about $5 or $10 and get those numbers up to about 1,000 or 2,000 people. And then you can start to see some traction on what you're posting and see whether or not people actually like what you have to say. And you can start developing strategy around that. You can tell Facebook that you want to get more website purchases, get more leads if you're a lead business, or get more messages. You can promote your business locally if you have a specific geographic region that you are targeting. You can promote your Facebook page if you're really low on followers and you want to get more likes. There is a click-to-call campaign that you can run on Facebook, or if you want to send people to a specific web page or a landing page or an offer that you have going on your website, you can select that as a goal too. So next slide. So if you're an e-commerce business, these are the ones you're probably going to pick. Get more visitors or get more website purchases. Those are probably the most common. Next slide. If you're a brick and mortar business and you don't mind picking up the phone and following up with people who fill out a form, you might want to select get more leads, because Facebook has a nice lead form that pops up on a lead ad campaign, and it makes it really easy for the person who sees the ad to respond to it, because then they don't even have to leave Facebook. They just leave you their information and you call back. Promote your business locally is an option, and then of course getting more website visitors is always good. Next slide. And if you're a service area business, you don't necessarily have a specific shop that you want people to go to, but you service, let's say Bridgeport or Norwalk or Stamford. These are some of the options that are good for you. Go next. So once you tell Facebook what type of campaign that you want to run, you set up your campaign, and setting up a campaign is very simple, very straightforward. Now you're at what I think is the most critical part, and where people end up wasting the most of their money because they don't spend enough time on this section, or they don't know all of the options that are available to them, and their targeting can get a lot better than what they would do on their own if without that knowledge. So this is a really important section. Let's go to the next set. Audience targeting is the most critical element of a successful Facebook ad campaign. This is what separates Facebook from, let's say, Google advertising. Google advertising is awesome because, if someone needs a plumber, they go to Google and they type in, plumber in Fairfield County. But, maybe if you're a high-end plumber and you only, work with a wealthier demographic, you might get a lot of unqualified leads from that type of campaign because anyone could type in the word plumber in Google. What separates Facebook is that you can really select your exact target audience. Let's go next. So the first targeting option is location. So you can really drill down on location. You can advertise to, a radius of as little as 1 mile of your business location. You can also go really out far. One word of note here is that if you're a business on kind of the coast of Connecticut, if you use radius targeting, you might want to, you can include a geographic area, but you can also exclude it. You may need to exclude New York, because if you have a brick and mortar store in Stamford, nobody who lives on Long Island is going to drive around and go over the Throgs Neck Bridge just to have a cup of coffee at your shop. So just be aware that geographically speaking, there are places that are really close to your business, but no one would ever go to it because there's a body of water in between. So let's go to the next slide. Demographics. And this is where you start to get into, some of the fun stuff. Facebook has options where you can target people by net worth or income. It's changed a little bit recently. In this example, I'm targeting people who have who are between the ages of 40 and 60, who are women, and who have a net worth between $1 million and $2 million. The financial stuff changed a little bit recently when Facebook started getting really scrutinized with data sharing. People said, well, where are you getting all this data from? They still do that, but they do it by top 5%, top 10% of income. But it's still very targeted, and they do that by zip code. Let's move on to the next. So occupation and work. A lot of people think of Facebook as a business to consumer marketing platform, and I would agree that that is the primary way that people use Facebook marketing, but it can also be used as a B2B marketing platform. Or if you're B2C and you have specific companies, or that a lot of people in your target audience work in a specific profession, you can use this here as well. So in this case, I am targeting people within a 50-mile radius of Stamford, Connecticut, age 21 and over, and people whose job title matches the word financial advisor, for example. So that's just one example that you can use. I've also targeted people by company. So, we had a campaign going to people who worked specifically at IBM. And if you think about how targeted you can get with the audience that you're selecting, you can also tailor your ads to that exact target audience so that it speaks directly to them. Next. Interests. So what I was looking at here is, I just had this thought of, well, what if I had a sports bar and I wanted to have a ladies' night during baseball season? And look how targeted this audience is here. So in the age, I'm targeting people aged 21 to 40. For gender, I'm targeting women. I'm targeting people who are interested in the New York Yankees. So these are people who click on articles about the Yankees on their Facebook newsfeed, who like the Yankees on Facebook, like Derek Jeter. And not only can I select the interests of my audience, I can also exclude people based on demographics. So if I want to exclude married women from my advertising campaign, I can do that as well. So in this example, people within a 1 mile radius of 700 Canal Street in Stamford, Connecticut, who are between the ages 21 and 40, who are women like the Yankees and they're not married, I can run an ad to them, and there's 4,700 people who match that description. Next slide. This is an example of a targeted campaign that I ran for an attorney in New York City, and it reaches 32,000 people a day. I target people within an 11-mile radius of her office. I didn't go beyond that because then I was stretching into New Jersey territory. So I stopped at 11 miles. All genders. She's an immigration attorney, and she's from India. So what I did was I created this really targeted niche audience for this immigration attorney. She speaks the 4 languages in India. So I'm targeting people who speak those 4 languages: Bengali, Hindi, Punjabi, and Urdu. And in the detailed targeting section, you see on the bottom there for Facebook, I'm targeting people who are expats, so people who are born outside of the country they're currently living in, and they're from India. So they're from India, they speak one of the languages she speaks, and they're within a 10-mile radius of her office. So that's a really super targeted audience for an immigration attorney from India. Next slide. And then this is one of my go-to campaigns, and it all starts with audience targeting. It's a birthday example. So if you're in any business can find something that they can do for people on their birthday. In the detailed targeting section, down kind of towards the bottom, but on the left-hand side, it says detailed targeting. And the demographics, if you just type in upcoming birthday, Facebook gives you the option to target only people who have a birthday coming up within 7 days. Now you can also target people who have a close friend or family member with a birthday coming up for 7 days as well, if you want to advertise your product or service as a gift. Next slide. So in this birthday example, I just wanted to show you how something like this can work. You're reaching people within 7 days of the birthday. Everyone's thinking about their birthday when it's within a week. And what I run is kind of a chat bot. So it's a personalized chat bot. Someone clicks on it, Facebook Messenger opens up, and it says, hey, Greg, enjoy a free entree and specialty drink on us. Just confirm your birthday is sometime in the next 7 days. Click yes, it is to confirm. And then when they click it, say, awesome, what is the date of your birthday? To the next slide. The person may click a button that says today, and then you pop up the ad. Enjoy a free entree and drink on the house, and you could have whatever terms and conditions. You could buy one get one free, and then people can actually redeem it. They show it to the waiter or waitress when they're there. And then what you would do in this campaign, the server might enter the number of people in the party, and you're capturing that information. That way you can prove, that way, at me being a marketing agency owner, I want to prove to the business owner that the campaign I'm running is worth it. So yeah, they gave away a free entree and a drink on the house on the birthday week, but they also came with 5 other people. So the server would enter the number of people in the party, and that way the owner knows that, hey, you know what, there was a freebie in there, but there were also 5 paid customers with it. Next slide. So more on targeting. So there's all that, you can handpick your audience on Facebook, and all that stuff is awesome. But if you want to get more repeat business, the people most likely to buy from you are the people who have already bought from you because they had a great experience. Or you could even target people who are close to buying from you. So you could target people who visited your website already. Next slide. So from inside the Facebook Ad Manager, you need to select pixels. So this is a screenshot. So in Facebook Ads Manager, you hover over audiences, and this option comes up. You select pixels. Let's go to the next screen. You create the pixel, you name it, and you accept the terms. Next screen. And Facebook gives you a piece of code to put on your website. So you can either choose to have the code emailed to your web developer, or if you do it yourself, you click Install Pixel Now, you copy the code and go into GoDaddy or whatever your website hosting platform is. Next slide, please. So with the pixel installed on your site, now you can remarket to everyone who visited your website and measure the performance of your campaign. So the pixel has a few different advantages to it. Go to the next slide. So if you're remarketing to people, what you'll also need to do is you'll need to set up audiences. So the pixel is on every page of your website, and what you're going to do is now you're going to build an audience. So you go back to the Facebook ad platform. Let's go to the next slide. You're going to select audiences. You're going to select custom audience from the option that pops up, and you're going to select website traffic. Let's go to the next screen. You select the time period, so you might want to market to people who visited your website within the last 30 days. And you can also make an audience of people who visit specific pages. So let's say you're a shop that has ladies' handbags, ladies' shoes, ladies' jackets. You can show shoe advertisements to people who visited the shoes page, jackets advertisements to people who visited the jackets page on your website. Next. And this is what I was talking about earlier. That was about website visitors. You can create a custom audience of your email list of customers. So if you have email addresses of your current customers, you can upload that into Facebook, and you can advertise specifically to people who've bought from you before. You can also create a lookalike audience of your top customers. So let's say most of your customers, going back to the other example, are New York Yankees fans, and they're between the ages of 25 and 45, and they also like golf. Facebook will recognize that, and they will find other people with those attributes so that you can market to them. Let's go to the next screen. So again, you click on audiences. Let's go next. You're going to select custom audience and customer file. Next. And then you are just going to upload your list. It takes a couple minutes for Facebook to process it. And then when you go to create an ad account and you're selecting your audience, you just select that from the ads manager. When you're at this stage of selecting your target audience, you're also going to be asked for a budget. So Facebook allows budgets as small as $1, or they're obviously not going to stop you from spending if you're already in the ad platform and have your credit card in there. But one question that I get a lot is, how much should I spend? And I guess the answer is that depends. If you really just want to get some brand exposure, there's nothing wrong with just boosting some posts and spending $100 a month to make sure that at least 10,000 people see your posts every month. But if you want to get serious about running a Facebook ad campaign, what I would do is I would test the grader of $500 per month, or 5 times your acceptable cost per result. That way you're getting a quality read on results. So what I mean by an acceptable cost per result, let's say you're willing to pay $50 for a lead because you're selling something that's worth $1,000, and you think you're going to close 10% on, say, for a good ROI. So if an acceptable cost per lead to you is $50, I would multiply that by 5, and since that's less than 500, you want to advertise for 500. If you're selling a high value product or service and your acceptable cost per lead is like $1,000, then I would say you want to spend at least $5,000 on Facebook ads. Otherwise, you run the risk of cutting your ad campaign short and not knowing whether or not you just didn't have enough ad budget in it. You do have to give yourself a strong sample size to make a determination of whether or not the ad campaign worked for you. Next. And then just a quick note as a reminder, why is it so important to remarket to current and past customers? And that's because it's 6 to 7 times more costly to acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing customer. So when I run Facebook ad campaigns and I have multiple ad sets going, and one of those ad sets is a custom audience of past customers, and another ad set is using the targeting options I showed you before, almost always the ad set that had the previous customers is going to have the best results from an ROI perspective. Let's go next. So creating your ad, what goes into an effective Facebook ad? So we have, first we talked about setting up your goal. What type of ad campaign do you want to run? How do you reach your target audience? But once you reach that audience, your ad does have to be compelling enough to get people to take action. So that's what I'm going to go through right now. Let's go next. So here's a cheat sheet from a company called Kissmetrics. It's a prominent digital marketing company, and it gives 6 elements of a high converting Facebook ad. The first, let's go from left, and then we'll go clockwise. So we'll start with optimized for placement. What does that mean? It takes advantage of a larger image and longer copy on desktop newsfeed, but it's also optimized for a mobile device. So when you're creating a Facebook ad, you have to make sure that it looks good both on a computer and on a mobile device. So make sure that you preview it on both. And by the way, creating a Facebook ad is super easy. You do it right there in the platform. All you have to do is you just have to be able to type. And if you don't have a designer on your team, or you're not good with design, Facebook lets you choose from a huge inventory of images that you can use, and it's free if you're using their ad platform. You want to have a strong value proposition or a good angle, so it's got to answer the reason why someone should click on your ad. It should be visceral and a very communicative image. So bright colors jump out, and it should also give people a realistic view of what the ad is selling. Or if you can't do that, if you're a service, something that represents how they're going to feel after they use your product or service. So an action-oriented call to action. So that would be, send us a message is an example. People need to know what you want them to do in your ad. So whether it's send them a message, call the business, download your ebook, get the coupons by email, order lunch, be clear about what you want the next step to be. Evidence of social proof is important. That's what we went over earlier about how we get people to engage with your Facebook page through events and check-ins. If a lot of people, like your page on Facebook, when their friends see your ad pop up in the newsfeed, they get they can see that a friend of theirs likes the page. So I see that all the time with, for example, the Wall Street Journal. I have friends who read the Wall Street Journal. So when I see a Wall Street Journal ad, or even just an article, it says right at the top which of my friends like that particular publication. So that's very powerful. And also a short and sweet headline. A lot of people want to be really clever and cute with their headlines. I've found that being direct and to the point in 5 words or less is typically more effective than trying to be, really clever. Let's go to the next screen. So ad copy formats, couple things to test that I use. One is PAS, problem, agitate, solution. And I'm going to go through these in a minute. So I'm going to go through fast here. ADA, this is the classic, textbook customer journey. You get their attention, pique their interest, build desire, and then tell them what action you want them to take. And then a few ideas to test. You have just a straight offer, super straightforward. Tell them what they're going to get. A long form ad. A lot of people will tell you, hey, keep it really short, 1 or 2 sentences. I've tested long form ads that work really well. They don't always work really well, but sometimes they do. And then a 2-step. So offering something for free up front and then trying to close the sale or the deal later on. Let's move on. So problem, agitate, solution. This is an example from a messenger campaign that got 564 people to opt in. The average cost for an opt-in was 72 cents. Total ad spend $406.08. So I'm going to read it to you in case you can't read it. But it's it's selling a golf product to help people improve their drive. It says, want more distance off the tee? That's the first question. So right off the bat, it's getting into the problem. And then it goes into agitating and make it seem a little worse. Like most golfers have a slight muscle imbalance that robs them of distance. And that's even worse. So yeah, your tee, you're not driving far off the tee. It's because there's something wrong with you. That's pretty bad if you're a golfer and you want to get better. But it can be easily fixed. So here's your solution. Take this 30-second quiz and discover how to drive the ball further than the rest of your foursome. So now you're appealing to their competitive spirit as well. All right, so let's go to the next ad. This is an example of the ADA. This is that immigration attorney that I was telling you earlier about, the one who's from India, and we're using Facebook ads to reach people who speak the 4 languages of India and who are from India. So I'm saying immigration issues, just to get their attention. As a pretty girl holding up a passport. If you're going through, that type of situation in your life, you need help. So I'm just keeping it short and sweet. The attorney has obtained family-based visas, employment-based visas, and asylum for hundreds of immigrants. So she's trying to pique their interest. She's a native of India and fluent in Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, and Bengali. So driving that connection. Click here and send a private message if you or someone you know needs help. Your first in-depth consultation is free. So that's the action. Click here for that free consultation. Let's go next. An example of a straight offer. This was a campaign that I ran targeting people who worked at IBM, and I just kept it real simple. By the way, that immigration attorney ad, if you clicked read more on that, there's probably a 300-word ad. So almost like the length of a short direct mail letter it was, and it's really effective. This one is super short. So you want to test different approaches, and you can test 2 completely different ads within the same ad set and see which one is going to work best for you and your audience. So this one is super short. Free report, 5 critical mistakes to avoid when planning your retirement from IBM. That generated 47 leads in 30 days, cost about $7 per lead. Let's go to next. So that's the copy. There are a couple components of the ad. There's the copy, the image, and call to action. Test images to see which work best. You have simple images, eye-catching images, authentic images, images of real people often work better than beautifully done up models. And try images that are really emotive. Like if you look at the one all the way on the right, the guy making that face, it's got to stand out because people scroll through their Facebook feeds really fast. Images catch their attention. So do something to make it pop, stand out, and definitely test more than one. The image you choose can make or break your ad campaign, and you don't always know in advance which one is going to be the winner and which one's going to be the loser. It doesn't cost you anything to test more than one ad at a time, and Facebook makes it pretty easy to read the results and know which one's working, which one isn't. Let's go next. So if you didn't want to use just an image and you don't have a designer on your staff, a free tool that I use and a lot of other people use is Canva. So if you go to canva.com, you have lots and lots of choices. They also have an image inventory, a bank of images, and they give you templates. So all you have to do is swap in a different image that's provided by them, change the words on the image. The only thing you just want to be aware of is that when Facebook runs an ad, they don't like it to be more than 20% text. But Canva makes it really easy for someone without any design skills or any software skills to look like a professional designer. Let's go next. So this is just an example of that, changing a surfing ad to a pizza ad. So, they give you an image. If you use the search bar in Canva for pizza, you see all these images on the left pop up. So you pick the one that's your favorite, and you've completely changed an ad for surfboards to an ad for pizza, and it's all there for you. Just download it. It's free. You can upgrade for the paid version, but you don't really need to. Let's go next. Right, so this is actually a bad slide. And I can open it up to questions now. I talked about Facebook ads. The 3 key components, just remember, for any ad campaign, whether it's on Facebook or anywhere else, are what you're offering, make it compelling, the list, make sure you're targeting the right people, and lastly, make sure it's visually appealing and it speaks to the problems that people have. So the list, the offer, and the creative are the 3 keys to running a successful Facebook ad campaign. Do we have any questions at this point?
Well, Greg, first of all, thank you very much. That was really interesting. I enjoyed it very much, and I was the guy clicking the button, so I was paying very close attention.
Thank you.
Now we'll get to a few questions. There is the first one here that says, do you recommend Ad Espresso? And before you get to recommending it, I don't even know what it is. So if you could tell us what it is and what it does, that would be great.
All right, so I've never used Ad Espresso. They have reached out to me many times, but I believe that they combine artificial intelligence into Facebook ads, and they make it easier for you to read the analytics. So I can't recommend or not recommend Ad Espresso at this time.
Okay, thanks. Here's another question. If you build an ad on your desktop computer, how do you test it on a mobile device?
So Facebook, when you create the ad, I don't have it. I don't have the Facebook ad platform in front of me. But as you're creating the ad, typically on the left-hand side of your desktop computer, you're typing in the words, the copy you want in the ad, and you're selecting your images, and you're picking your headline and which button you want to use. On the right-hand side of your desktop computer, Facebook is showing you a preview of the ad. And they make it easy for you to kind of scroll through and see what your ad is going to look like on different platforms or different spaces. So they'll show you what it's going to look like in the Facebook newsfeed, what it'll look like in a Facebook mobile device, how it'll look on Instagram, and how it'll look on usually like 10 or 13 different apps where people could potentially see it. And you can tweak your ad so that it changes there. But you can also go back to the previous section where you're picking your audience. And if the ad you're trying to run just isn't compatible with one of those platforms, whether it's mobile, you can turn it off for that platform. But more or less, you're gonna be able to see it. The key thing is Facebook newsfeed, Instagram, and mobile. But Facebook does make it pretty easy for you to preview it there. You just have to remember to scroll through and see how it's going to look.
And did I follow you correctly that the previewing is part of the Facebook ad building component?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. Here's another question. Can the Facebook, it's like Stump the Professor, Can the Facebook check-in option be used for a service business without a physical business address? For example, have a customer check in while paying an invoice?
The answer to that is no, they cannot. So if let's say you're a TV repairman, we'll just use that. You do have to. The person has to be at the business in order to check in, because Facebook is, you have the Facebook app on your phone. Facebook has to kind of know where you are. The other way around, the way around that would be to try to obtain Facebook reviews. So if you have a customer and you send them a follow-up email, one strategy to try to get more reviews online you're going to give them, you ask them whether or not they were blown away by your service. How would you rate us? 0 to 5 stars. If they give you 3 stars or less, maybe you say, oh, I'm so sorry. How can we make it better? If someone gives you 5 stars, you say, and this should be all automated with, a piece of software. There's a lot of programs out there that do it. If they give you 5 stars, the next message should be, that's awesome. Please share your experience on Facebook. And then you'd have a link right to your Facebook page where they can leave a review. And that could kind of be a substitute for the Facebook check-in. The other thing you can do is try to get them to, if there's a picture that can be taken that represents the service. Let's say you're a contractor and you just finished giving the customer a new bathroom. If they wanted to take a picture of it, they could give a specific hashtag, and then you could find them later on Instagram, follow and follow them and try to get them to follow you back. And you can always share their post with your audience. So there are ways around it, but to give the real short answer is no, they can't check in unless you have a physical location.
Thanks, Greg. Here's another one. How long do you recommend ads run?
So it's not necessarily how long they run in terms of how many days it should run or how many weeks it should run. But there is Facebook gives pretty good metrics on ad performance. And I want to think of the right thing. There's a column called frequency. So let's say your audience is 10,000 people wide, and that's what it said when you're setting up the Facebook ad campaign. You might not reach 10,000 people because not everyone who's on Facebook logs in every week or every month even. So maybe you reach 8,000 people. The frequency, you reach 8,000 people, but the number of impressions might be 24,000 people. So that means on average, those 8,000 people each saw it 3 times. Once people see your ad about 4 times, you probably want to switch it up at that point because it's going to get stale pretty quickly after that. So it's not necessarily the amount of time it runs, but it's the frequency that your audience has seen it, and how often you want to change it up.
That makes sense. Thank you. Next question. Please explain ad sponsor.
Ad sponsor. All right, so ad sponsor, I'm gonna, if you could clarify. Now for ad sponsor, what I see a lot is, like, for example, the New York Post, and the New York Post just did this to me. The New York Post was advertising a product for like a digital marketing course because their targeting must have identified me as a digital marketer. And I know the New York Post doesn't run digital marketing courses. So the sponsor would have been the company that's paying the New York Post to run an ad for them. So I'm guessing that's what that is. But usually, if that's what you mean, that's I don't have that much experience in that. Typically, what you see is if something is an ad, people see the word sponsored near it, and that just means you're seeing it because someone paid for you to see it, as opposed to it, being shown organically. So something that's sponsored is something that was paid for. But if you can ask another question if I didn't answer your question, but that might be what you mean by ad sponsor.
Thanks, Greg. Here's another one. What's ITV and where does it fit into the Facebook, Instagram mix?
Yeah, so IG TV is on Instagram, and that's when people are using video on it. People and brands are using video on Instagram. So if you have the Facebook app and instead of communicating by pictures, you want to communicate by video, Instagram calls that IGTV.
So would those numbers come underneath the Instagram umbrella of stats?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any other questions out there? Going once? Any questions? Going twice? Let me get to my wrap-up script and click a few things through here. And we are at the end and haven't seen anything else. And just a reminder that this recording this webinar is being recorded and will be online at our fairfieldcounty.score.org website in a couple of days. And as I said before, with things changing from live workshops to online webinars, please check our calendar. Things are changing. We're sending things out as we make our changes as well. And again, SCORE offers free individual counseling. So please use the link you see on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. Also, please fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar. And finally, on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you for attending this live webinar. And in closing, once again, a big thank you to Greg, and stay healthy and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. And that's all.